Hello, people of the internet, and welcome. My name is Daniel K. Hargrove, also known as Daniel the DM, and today we are here talking about the Blood Hunter. I recently had a chance to play the Blood Hunter in a one-shot on the Daring to Press YouTube channel, which you should totally go check out. It was an absolute blast, and as fun as that was, yeah, I am here to talk about my experience of what it was like playing a Blood Hunter. And spoiler alert, it was a good time. It was a good time, and I think what I want to do is just go through my character sheet and talk about the decisions that, like, the thought process that went into the decisions I made into picking what I did for my character sheet, and then from there talk more about the experience and what it was like. Overall, again, I really did enjoy this experience. I think this is probably the best attempt at a class right out of the gate, right? I still have things that I would like to see change and tweaks I would like to see. However, I still think that for a first attempt, this is absolutely wonderful. So absolute blast. And yeah, let's switch on over and check out this here character sheet. Their character name was not Inspired Hero. It was Victus. But belay all that. But this is how my character sheet ended at the very end. No hope, 2 hit points left, 2 stress. Listen, if the sight of this makes you uncomfortable, okay, this is not going to be the class for you. All right. When they said when I say this is a high risk, high reward class, that's what it is, right? Like, you see how low my health is, but look at how high my damage is, right? My Ego Blade is doing 2d12 plus 16, right? And that's without even considering my Crimson Right and all that sort of stuff. So it's wild. It's absolutely wild what you end up getting with this class. But starting things off, I know one thing that's going to look peculiar to people is seeing, whoa, your evasion is really low. You got a decent amount of armor slots for level 3, but your evasion is really low. And one thing you have to keep in mind is that we play in a very gritty game. Bitten, or Daggerheart actual play, takes place in a zombie apocalypse, and we have a bite mechanic. So if you take an HP worth of damage from a bite mechanic, which costs the GM 2 fear to be able to use, but if you take damage from that, you become infected, right? You have 1 attempt to try to amputate that limb where you were bitten, but besides that, you're cooked, right? So we're playing in a very gritty game. So this is very risky already for me to be playing a character who's going to get hit more often than others. However, I think in general, it is probably in your benefit when you play a Blood Hunter to play them in a way where they are easier to hit, but you want to increase wherever you can their damage thresholds and the amount of armor slots that they have in order to mitigate said damage. Because what I did to put this in my favor is you can see that's a lot of HP, right? I have 8 hit points. And what that ends up doing is putting me in a position where I purposefully chose to take damage because I knew it was going to be minor, right? So as I was getting hit, choosing not to use my armor slots so I could slowly rack up some of the hit point losses that I wanted in order to feed the amount of damage that I was going to end up doing with my weaponry, right? And all of that is because of Power Through Pain, which is, I believe, a level 1 ability, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, a level 1 ability. This is probably the best card in the entire Blood domain. The best card. Because if you have at least 1 hit point marked, you gain a bonus to your damage rolls. The bonus equals twice the number of hit points marked. So the more hit points you have, right? So I marked 6, right? So that's 12 extra damage I get on top of the plus that I get, which should be, I think it was +3 for this weapon, right? +4. Okay, yeah, so 12, 4, whatever. Yeah, so I'm getting that extra damage right? On top of all of that. And the more hit points I end up adding on throughout my career, I'm going to be doing even more damage as I keep losing more and more hit points. And since I was in my last 2 hit points, I could have activated, where is there is the Ghost Slayer specific ability. Yeah, Chasing Death. When you have 1 or 3 unmarked hit points, you can use your Crimson Right feature without paying a hit point cost. And then if you only have 1 hit point, it goes from a D8 instead of a D6, right? So I was in that range to gain that benefit, which is cool. But that's how I ended up having to build my character. And I also made sure to keep 1 melee weapon and 1 ranged weapon. I took Versatile Fighter so I could use whatever weapon I wanted, and they would all use my agility stat no matter what. And really what I found in this experience is, yeah, you need to be as versatile as possible. Like, this is going to be I can see this being a very difficult class for people to play who don't like sitting there and being very intentional with every single aspect of your character sheet. And there are choices that I made that weren't quote unquote optimal for the character, such as I played an Aetheris because it fit the character, the story that we were telling. But mechanically, I didn't gain any benefits to my class that would have helped alleviate some of the issues that I was running into when it came to resource management. Same thing with my Highborn class, gaining the advantage on consorting with nobles. This did not come into play at all. It was a waste of a pick. If we're talking about like optimization and what it brought to the table, it didn't come into play at all whatsoever. It was just kind of useless and sitting there. But it fit the character, it fit their personality, it fit their role play, so it stayed. But if I wanted to get like super technical about it, I'd probably pick something that like gives you hope or something like that, or like lets you re-roll a die for your community. And then for my ancestry, I'd probably pick something like Furbolg, where you roll a d6 on your whenever you're about to take a stress, and on a 6 you don't take any stress. So I would have probably done something like that instead. But I bring all that up not because like I'm trying to be like, oh, everyone who plays a Blood Hunter needs to optimize the game and be an optimancer and blah 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 and min-max everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying all that because sometimes the risk is way higher than the reward. And that's just what it is, right? I think the mutant is the most powerful subclass for this, right? And that's great. You know, it's really solid. It's very well made, and it's able to alleviate a lot of the issues you'll end up running into as a Blood Hunter. But the Ghost Slayer, the Lycan are not as lucky. Because here's what you need to keep in mind, right? You see how empty I am on resources. I've used up a bunch of stuff. Here's what you need to keep in mind. Adversaries and the environment are already going to be draining these resources, right? I built this character sheet in a vacuum. It looks great. If I had made one choice different with my HP, I would have died during that one shot, right? Your resource management is even more critical with this class because you are so easily going to succumb to death if you're not careful at all whatsoever. If you're not keeping a melee and a ranged option, right? If you're not paying attention to those things, making sure you have consumables, right? And this plays into what I was saying before of I wish the domain card that was known as Vampiric Strike was available at level 3 around the same time that you're getting Soldier's Bond. Versatile Fighter, and then you're also getting Burning Blood. If around this we also had Vampiric Strike, or it was built into somewhere in the class abilities, features, etc., that would be great. That would be great. The ability to exchange a hope to, we would use a hope to clear a hit point would go a long way, in just a single hit point, but it would go a long way into making the character more manageable on your own without constantly feeling like everyone has to babysit you so that you don't die and that you don't feel like a liability to the team. Even if you had to limit it to being a class feature that you can only do once per rest or once per long rest, right? But maybe you like roll a D4 amount of hit points that you can, I don't know, but something to where we can alleviate that. And I think hope is a great resource to exchange for it, because most of the time I'm using my hope for something else, right? Sure, I'm using my hope just like everybody else for, you know, exploration or story moments or social activities, all this sort of stuff, occasionally to assist on rolls, or to do team attacks and stuff like that. Like I still didn't even use my soldier's bond when I played during this, where I could have gotten 3 hope, right? Just by complimenting someone. But I say all that to say is that there is room within this design to alleviate how expensive everything is. And as you can see, I did not take Blood Spike, which is a level 1 ability, because it was so outrageously expensive. Like, imagine I just wanted to cast a level, 1 domain card spell, and I would have had to mark, if I was successful, I would have to mark 2 more stress. 2 more stress just to be able to get the full effects of that card ability. Like, I was not a fan of that mechanic. I didn't like that. And I think a lot of the cards are like that, spread throughout the domain, but I've gone into that prior. But despite the resource bottleneck, it is such a fun class. The Blood Maledict feature, the Crimson Rite is great, even though I'm pretty sure it's bugged on here. And it gives you the 2d6 earlier than it's supposed to. It gives you the 2d6 when you get into tier 2. So at level 3, I had the 2d6 that was showing up in my sheet. I just had to unmark it and roll it manually because that 2d6 was not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be at level 5, but what have you. But still, very fun feature. I always love extra damage. Grim Psychometry was an absolute blast to use for an exploration, and those advantage on those rolls played a key factor into discovering this relic we were looking for. And I got to role play this idea of like him touching blood stains and feeling the essence of people who walk through this area and use that to help. It's so great. Grim Psychometry is wonderful. Chasing Death, I don't think is great. I think this can be reworked to be more useful prior to getting to 1 to 3 hit points. Or if we are, it needs to sweeten the pot. You need to sweeten the pot. Yes, sure, a D8 is great. Sure, woohoo, that's extra damage. But look at the extra damage I'm already getting. It doesn't matter. I can already re-roll 1s and 2s, right? I could spin a stress because of Versatile Fighter in order to get max damage on one of these. So it's automatically going to be a 12 plus a 14 for one of these, right? So already it's in a situation where this feature is not that great, and I feel like there's something else that could be more useful as a feature. And this is obviously setting you up for the fact that they want you to eventually take that mastery feature where when you die, you have the death move to become a ghost. Cool, but at the end of the day, I still don't think that is very great. Shadowed Grit, wonderful, amazing, loved using it. Absolute blast. Shadowed Grit was incredible. Being able to spend a stress in order to gain a hope when the GM gained fear, love it. Absolutely love it. This is an amazing class feature. 10 out of 10. 5 stars. Don't change. But overall, I think that about sums up my experience. I had a blast playing this character. I think it was great. I think everything on offer with this character is wonderful. But I think the ability to control your hit points a little bit better by yourself would be important. And also, here's another reason why I say this. I say this because it is so important to me that the core of this game remains the same, of having the fantasy to build whatever you want. I love that about this game. I love the amount of freedom that's there. However, in doing this high risk, high reward aspect, I think it is too punishing for people who are not playing as optimally as possible with this character or this class in particular. So I think being able to have that feature where you can just reduce 1 or 2 hit points or something like that, or gain the mech, would make a huge difference and open up build variety, right? Where people wouldn't maybe feel as I would, where it's like, oh man, I really need to stack up on damage thresholds and armor slots and all that sort of stuff so I can mitigate and properly control how much damage I take in. I would love for someone to feel comfortable, be like, yeah, no, I want to make that person who has a high evasion, is like super hard to hit and all that sort of stuff, and actually get to make that class and that fantasy that they want, right? So that's just my 2 cents. Overall, I had a blast with it. I love the class features that were presented. I want to play I definitely want to play the Mutant X. It looks so strong. It looks so fun. But Ghost Slayer is definitely one I would return to. Overall, man, I really do love the Blood Hunter. Like, I can't stop thinking about different character concepts involving this. With those minor tweaks and alterations about like the cost for certain abilities and alterations towards being self-sustaining, but also not being in a way where, you know, you're ignoring the need for a party. That's what I don't want. I still want you to be able to, it would be of great benefit to have a Seraph in the party. It would be a great benefit to have a Bard in the party. It would be a great benefit to be around people who can give you different buffs and all these different things. And I experienced that in my game, right? I have a low evasion, but someone helped boost my evasion a little bit with one of their class abilities or features. So these things are important, and you need to make these distinctions and figure out where's the best way to balance that. Listen, I'm not a game designer, all right? I'm just a guy who rolls the dice, and I can tell you what does feel great, what doesn't feel great. That's about as far as my expertise goes until I start designing my own classes and features and game stuff and whatnot. But as a player, I'm highly, highly impressed. I'm excited to see what they do when they start tweaking these classes, because in the adjustments that I've seen, this team really has their finger on the pulse, because everything I complained about with the Assassin, they fixed it. It's perfect. I love the Assassin. The Assassin is one of my favorite classes, I think, in a tabletop game I've played. Like, it is so fun. The Assassin is amazing. It's spectacular. And for them to come out with this right afterwards is just like, they are on point with these class designs, and I want them to keep it up. They're doing a great job, and yeah, it's been a blast playing it. But let me know what you think about the Blood Hunter in the comment sections down below, and if you plan on playing a Blood Hunter, what are you gonna be? What's your ancestry? Oh, look at me, bars. But what's your ancestry? What are you gonna go for when it comes to the subclass? I would love to hear it. I think the next time I play 2, it would be a Mutant Blood Hunter. And I really want to take the blood bow that's available at tier 2 in the game, and a blood archer. Imagine like the what is it? The string on the bow. Imagine it's barbed, right? You prick your fingers, you pull it back, and then you make an arrow out of blood. Come on, that don't sound sick to you? That sounds sick to me. But let me know what you're gonna end up making in the comment sections down below. I appreciate you for watching. Make sure if you enjoyed the video, you hit that like button and subscribe so that you continue to see more content from me. And if you want to see some content early or get exclusive access to certain videos, you can always head over to Patreon, or in general, if you just want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/Daniel K. Hargrove. And remember, yes, you can see me play this character over on the Darrington Press YouTube channel right now. So please check that out and support that, because I would love for them to invite us back and bring back the Bitten Crew, because we love playing in this world, and I'm so proud of that team, and I just want everybody on the planet to see it, because I'm so proud of what we created and the incredible people that I get to work with. But with that being said, take care of yourself, take care of others, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.